Hello, and welcome back to JC's Writing Advice. I'm JC Bybee, indie author and part time YouTuber. I have 8 books out through 3 series: the Here Unit series, Collinsworth Case Files, and the Telvana Mysteries. All of my books are available on my website. I'll have links to that down below, along with links to my Patreon. So today's lecture is a continuation of world building. We're going to touch on 3 topics that I alluded to in my first 2 videos: history, religion, and politics. I'm not going to go super deep into any of them. There's a lot of information that can be covered, a lot of things that can be talked about. I'm going to try to touch on some of the key points to help writers, aspiring writers, people that are thinking about becoming writers, to have a better idea of what they should, or, well, I don't want to say should, what they can include, what they can think about including, what they might want to avoid. I try not to talk in absolutes. I'm not going to sit here and say, don't do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. That's what an editor's for. I'm here to just give advice, like I said. So, without further ado, let's get into today's lecture. Get this up and running, hopefully. I say lecture, discussion, topic. So, world building, history, religion, and politics. All of these are important aspects of various genres of writing. When I talked about in my first lecture, my first video, I talked a lot about your core concept. What informs your world and your storytelling. And a lot of that can be built off of these 3 topics. History is what builds your current day. Religion has a huge effect on societies. You want to look throughout the history of our just Earth and how religion, various religions, have affected how different cultural groups have interacted with each other, for the good and for the bad. You can't shy away from the fact that there have been things done in the name of religion that are terrible. And that's something that you as a writer can consider. And then there's politics. Politics is one of those things that people either get or don't. And understanding how politics work in your world and in your setting is important, because it will help with consistency of storytelling. That's something I'm going to talk about a lot during this video, is how consistent are you with your story? And these 3 things, these 3 topics can help you with that. How much do you, as the writer, need to know? How does it affect your story? What should you use, and special considerations are all topics we're going to talk about. So, how much do you need? I like this quote: "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." So, history informs current day, and you are theoretically writing in your story's current day, whether that's historical fiction, whether that's fantasy, contemporary, thriller. You are writing in what you view as your worlds, your stories, present day. So how has the past affected today? So how much do you need to know? That depends. It depends a lot on genre. Like I say, your genre informs a lot of what you do as a writer, how you treat your story. It's not a good way to say what your story is. Like I said in my first video, it's not a good core concept. It informs your core concept, but it's not everything. And genre will help you a lot with understanding how much history you need, whether religion plays a big effect, and what kind of politics your readers are probably expecting. I always talk about the difference between, say, sci-fi and fantasy. In fantasy, there is an expectation of medieval or early Renaissance-esque political systems, kings, queens, nobility, how they interact, and how your character views that particular religious system, or not religious, political system is important. But also the religion aspect of it in our world during the late Renaissance or late medieval, early Renaissance, the effect and presence of the church was changing when it came to nobility and how they were viewed by the people and how the nobility viewed the commoners or the masses, as it were. So religion and politics in fantasy often get intermingled. In sci-fi, politics often become a lot more nebulous. You get a lot of world government or solar system government, or the idea that the human race as a whole is one society, one unit. They've achieved a level of social interaction and social acceptance that politics of our day and age, by comparison, seem primitive. Religion, in general, is sort of brushed aside when it comes to science fiction. It gets more intertwined with history in science fiction, how it's a thing of the past, and how the current society views it. A great one, if you want to look at how religion and science and things can be interacted with and intertwined with, is Dune, and all of the intricacies of that particular world and that particular setting. So again, look at your core concept. What is your core concept? I'll refer back to my books. Hero Unit, core concept, alternate Earth, near future. Politics are roughly the same. We're still in North America, United States, though, due to a massive global conflict, the nations of Canada, the United States, Mexico, and the Central American nations have all formed together and become the United States of North America. It's very similar to the political system that we use in the United States currently. But there are differences. But I don't go into it a lot because it's not as necessary. Religion doesn't play. It plays a role because I have a religion, a belief in a faith system that I follow. That shows up in my books. I don't make it a central theme because it doesn't fit. Like I say at the bottom of the slide, it doesn't necessarily serve the plot. And then with the Telvanna Mysteries, on the other hand, history is a big aspect because my main character, spoiler alert for the Telvanna Mysteries, she is very old. She has seen many parts of her world, Telvanna. She's seen many of its eras and how it's changed. And so history is far more real to her. So she acts based off of a greater store of knowledge than other people. Religion's a big part of that world. The gods are very active. So I understand who the gods are, what they do, how they interact with the world. And politics is a lot looser in the area that it takes place. It's part of it, especially in the Phantom Thief Book 3, which is coming out soon. It takes a big forward role because of how I've developed this particular region. And Aurora, my main character, she has to be heavily involved because of the knowledge and understanding that she has of history. So when you are writing and when you are taking your notes, when you're building your outline, you need to understand how these things are going to interact. Now, sometimes that comes out as you're writing, but when that information comes up and when you come across a concept that you need to explore a little bit more, make sure you're taking notes. Again, I have a lecture video planned on organization. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 parts depending. But I'll talk about how to do that kind of stuff. So again, how much do you need to know? All depends on your core concept, your genre, and how well does it serve the plot. Next, how does it affect the story? This is building off this idea of how does it affect your core concept. And going forward, you need to understand as you're writing how these things are going to interact. So you as the writer are the one that determines what is or isn't important. You might have a complex political system in place. You might have a multi-deity pantheonic religion that you want to talk about or allude to. How much of that gets in there is all up to you. How much of it you want to put in depends on, like I say, depends on the story you're telling. Does it serve the plot to talk about the hierarchy of your particular religion? Is that involved with the plot? If it's not, then you don't necessarily need to include it. Just like if you are working in a world that is very much focused on hitting their industrial revolution. I'm currently working on a book that's very Victorian-esque in a lot of its sensibilities and a lot of the setting. And they are coming to the cusp of not just an industrial revolution of science and industry, but also of magic. They're going to come to a point where magic and science are coming together. And so history is starting to get, I don't want to say ignored, but it's less of a focus because people are so excited about what they're doing now. And politics is less of a thing because it's just not the focus of the story. It's not. There's not a lot of political involved so far. That might change. It is a mystery. It is a detective story, so politics can always get involved in that. And then of course there's religion, and I try not to take a lot of the cliched routes with religion, where it seems like in especially older mysteries, there's always a corrupt member of the clergy. And again, in some people's experience, that's what it's always been like. Not been my experience. And so I try to avoid that particular cliche because it's played out. Everybody does that. Try to do something different. Try to actually, make the priest a good guy, or at the very least not an antagonist, because it's been done. And so, and again, I'm not trying to discount anybody's particular experience with religion. Everybody has their own view on it. But if you are writing a mystery in certain settings and you have a member of the clergy, people are immediately going to suspect him or her simply because everybody's done that. So things to consider as you're writing, things to think about, to go over. And again, this is a couple of key factors. You are always going to know more than your characters and always going to know more than your readers. Because if you give them everything, there are no more questions. And if there are no more questions, why read the story? So you can sprinkle hints and ideas throughout and concepts throughout that can help move the plot forward. But if you give your reader everything, they're probably going to get bored, if I'm being completely honest. So, what can or should you change? And this is a little bit more in history, but it affects all three of these. When we're talking about, especially when we're talking about alternate Earth history, again, because they're my books, I will reference Hero Unit. I talked about in Hero Unit how there was a big global cataclysm. It's called the Exceptionals War. And billions of people were killed. And it changed not just the world population, but it affected climate, it affected geography, it affected where people lived. People shifted, population centers moved, governments changed, and it was a big deal. Also, the superpowers showed up in Hero Unit in World War II, and that led to changes in how the world operated. And there were small changes that got bigger and bigger as the superheroes became more and more powerful. If you hear some weird noise of the light changes, there's a hornet in our house, and my wife's trying to get it out the door. Anyway, so be wary of what you want to meddle with when it comes to alternate history, especially. And why? So, why is because there are certain events that if you choose to alter them, people will get upset. There will be backlash, and the wasp is gone. Good. Or hornet. There will be backlash for it. People will get upset at you if you alter certain historical events, if you ignore certain historical events, or if you try to take a different approach to them, what have you. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to tell you do this, do that. I'm going to tell you need to be aware if you're going to make alternate history part of your story. People are going to have opinions, shall we say. And the same goes for religion. People are going to have opinions if you change how religion happened. What religion happened? What religion does this? What religion does that? What religion is the primary religion of your country? Or how it affects people. In fantasy literature, the Norse religion, the Norse gods, are used a lot as sort of frameworks for religions. And other pantheons that have existed throughout history are used. And so if you were riffing off of existing or past religions, just be aware that people are going to have opinions about it, good or bad. They're going to exist. And again, not going to say one way or another what you should or shouldn't do. Just be aware that those are things that you need to take into consideration as the writer, as you are creating your story, and as it is informing your plot line. So, I think that does it for that. So, I appreciate you stopping by, giving my video a watch, giving it a listen. I appreciate comments, any questions you might have. You can always put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Always remember, be polite. You can, like I said, you can find my books at jcbybee.com. I'll have that link down below, along with my Patreon, where you can get an exclusive story, only available there. Also, please, like they say in every other video, like, share, comment, subscribe. Let people know I'm here. If you enjoyed it, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Everything helps, and I appreciate you listening this long. I hope you have a great day.